hello, everyone. And how is everyone doing today? How is everyone doing today? Hi, hello. Sharice Johnson Moore here with your post-publishing Power Moves Day 27. Okay, Day 27. Yes, the month is almost over, child. And before you know it, you be like, man, the year gone, now it's time to start all over. But we know that the things that are taught in this post-publishing power moves can be done every day of the week for 365 days of the year. Okay. So, you know, uh, when we think about our authorship, being an entrepreneur, an entrepreneur, and that you never lose sight of different ways that you can present your book to the public. You never stop thinking about different ways you can present your book to the public. So on day 27 of the post-publishing power moves, today we're talking about the next level of strategy. And the next level of strategy is turning your book into programs through licensing and partnerships. Turning your book into programs through licensing and partnerships. Okay, now we know that the book is not just a product. It's not just a product. It's not just a tool to, it's not just a book. It's not just a product. It's a tool that organizations, businesses, and ministries, and all of those things that come under the word entrepreneurship can use to create impact. Okay? You can create impact by creating programs around your book and partnering with others. You expand your reach and income potential. Okay? You can expand your reach and income potential. So I want to deep dive into this for today. And the first one is understand the value of your content. You got to understand the value of your content. My book has so many topics in it. And when you think of the value it brings when it deals with identifying lessons, one of those lessons in my book is how I was growing up, and my father wasn't in my life. So even though he was there, he was not there. He was not helping me my homework. He was not helping me get dressed. He was not protecting me from my cousin that SA'd me. Okay, and in that text, in that being in that fatherlessness zone, I went through my life and I turned around and was looking for love in all the wrong places, thinking that these people, that the men in my life I got in relationships with were substitute father figures. Okay. And in that lesson, over a period of years, I would learn this lesson of no one can ever take the place of my father, because I really didn't know him. So I was just picking anybody to be with. And now I have learned that I do not need a man to validate me. That is the lesson that I have learned from all of that searching, looking for love in all the wrong places. That was that lesson in that book that I'm trying to teach young ladies, that if their father is not in their life, that they can have a better life. They can have a life of their own. They can stand on their own merit. They can stand on really truly loving themselves. In the text of I do not need a man to validate me. I don't need a man in my life to make me happy. I don't need a man to complete me. I don't need a man to do such and such and such. And that is that lesson that I really try to convey in the workbook. When the book, then the workbook, and it coincides with each other. So that is, kind of one of my many lessons that I break down when I have private clients that are have found themselves where they want to talk to me about their father relationships. And so that's identifying a lesson. Okay. Frameworks. How did I go about it? How did I go about realizing that I have more worth than a man can give me? The framework. How did I step into that? And how did I have an understanding of not keep repeating the same thing over and over again, keep finding the wrong men, and a framework. I had to have standards. I had to start having standards of what I wanted in a relationship. Okay. Or the method in your book that others can adopt or approach. They can adopt or approach in that book. Okay. In the book, Coming to Loving Yourself, and you get the workbook. And sometimes you find yourself, that I could teach them that, how did they find their peace of finally accepting who they were and things of that nature. So think in the terms of intellectual property that can be licensed or packaged. I could turn around and take that lesson and turn it into a workbook for women, a workbook for men, where they may have grown up without their mothers, because I also dealt with that aspect too. And break that down and become and mold that and sit down and write it out and make it plain, and to really get into teaching that as a class. I could do that. Number 2 would be create program frameworks. Develop workshops, study guides, or training modules based on your book. Okay, let's say it. Training, you got develop workshops, study guides, or training modules based on your book. Yeah, I keep iterating this book because it's a study guide. Okay, study guide. So I have turned around and I implement this. I make this a part of my class, a part of the class one-on-one session, the one-on-one session that I have with my clientele that want private one-on-one consultation. Okay, that's how I make that my intellectual property is a book, is a study guide. So make it simple for another organization to implement this program with minimum effort. So you might want to put a syllabus with that. You make up a syllabus. I have a syllabus for this. I have a syllabus when I talk to my clients. I also have a syllabus of what I'll be going over besides what's already in this book. Okay, what's already in this study guide. Have a syllabus, and I broke it down, and then we get to talking, and it's kind of like therapy. Okay, kind of like therapy, and I have put a syllabus to that. Okay. Number 3, partner with organizations, schools, churches, nonprofits, businesses are always looking for educational content. If you write a book about business, about something that you know that you're real good at, and you put it in the context and you put it in business, go to the church. You could teach a class at church about the fundamentals of business etiquette, the fundamentals of about business tax, the fundamentals of just having a budget. You could teach that at church. You teach that at school and the class. Your children. You could teach that on your own. You could teach that at the community center. You could teach that at the youth centers, places like that. Or you can form your own class and have the kids come to your house and you set it up like classroom and they come in and learn. It's perfect if you got homeschooling, because a lot of stuff they teach at school they do not teach at home. I mean, you could set it up where it's a class for you and your kids, or you and your kids, your nephews, your nieces, and all them. They can come over to the house and you can sit down and teach them like they're in a class. Yes, you can. Nonprofits, how to form nonprofits. If you written a book about nonprofits, what are the 10 steps to forming a nonprofit, or what are the 10 steps of getting grants for nonprofits, or things of that nature. You can set it up as a educational content. Pitch your book as a ready to go program for training, team building, and study groups. Study groups. They always got children at school. Children at church. Set it up with children at church. Okay, they got. You ever had where they have Sunday school, and then it's like summer Sunday school where the kids go to church every day, where the church has activities and things for the kids because they're out of school, and you could introduce that to the class, or however that is, because when I was at church, they would have us have activities during the summer. It was like church summer camp, church summer camp where we, like you go to church all day and then you go home. You go to church all day and they got activities for you to do and things like that. And then you can introduce that to the church. Okay. Licensing agreement. Number 4, licensing agreement made simple. Teach them your system. Provide materials and allow them to use your content while giving you recognition or royalties. Okay, let me read that again. Teach them your system, provide materials, and allow them to use your content while giving you recognition or royalties. You can get paid for the stuff that you know, and you can license it out where they pay you a certain amount of money every month, where they're turning around, well, they're using your system, or they're using your book, or they're using something from you, and using something of yours that has your copyright on it, but they have to sign an agreement, a contract with you to pay you this amount of money so they could use your content, your books, in their teaching class. Okay. Licensing allows you to scale without delivering every program personally. Okay. Licensing allows you to scale without delivering every program personally. That means this class can be taught and you do not have to be in there. Class can be taught. Licensing allows you to scale without delivering every program personally. So my course, okay, I give you this. I will say this: publish now what course? I could turn around and someone else would like to use that program, that course. They would have to pay me, but I wouldn't have to be there. Or they could take this class. You take this class, and I would not have to be there personally. Me and Teachable have an agreement that people come in and take the course. I don't have to be there. They could take the course on their own, or, by this being the launch of this program, I would like to be there. I like to be there for the first couple of times I get, students in the course, and then I would, maybe it might scale, it might get bigger, it might add more stuff to it and things like that. And then you can turn around and have it where it's self managed. Person that I don't have to be in the class. I don't have to, show up as much, things of that nature, where it could be to the point where it's self managed, it's self roll, self propel, self managed, where that person that enrolls in the course, they go ahead and it's self paced. That's what they call it. Self paced. Pace their own self through this course. That can happen. Number 5, promote collaborative opportunities. Use joint ventures and partnerships to increase your visibility and credibility. Use joint ventures and partnerships to increase your visibility and credibility. Okay, my course will benefit someone that has got a new client that does not know anything about publishing. Partnerships. My course would benefit someone that has a publishing company, and okay, because everybody do things different. I say this: everybody does things different when they claim to be a publisher, a publishing company, and sometimes you can go to some of these publishing companies, and they just work with people that's ready to publish. Okay. But what about all the other stuff the person don't know before they publish? They would probably send them to me. Me and that publisher will have a relationship, partnership, and that person could get in, join my course. And when they are ready, then they will go to her or him or them or they, and sign up, to get their book published over there. But they will come to my course to really get an essence of what being an author is all about. They will gain all the knowledge of what being an author, what it all entails. Because I'll say this: some people just think you just write a book and put it out there and call it a day. They don't think about, that's the way, I ain't gonna say and lie. That's the way I was thinking. I can just write this book, put it out, and it'll sell by itself. No, it's a lot that goes into being an author. So that's where my course will come in. I would teach, that me and that publishing company will partner up. And if you have authors like that, where they need a little extra help and knowledge wise as being an author, that's where the partnership come in. Okay, co-branding programs created win-win relationships that benefit you, your brand, and theirs. So they had a client that really needed to sit down to learn some more stuff about being an author and what it all entails. The knowledge part, the business part, the teaching, the getting, the part of teaching how to engage with your readers, the business aspect, budget, things of that nature. We would work out a way where we would coexist to have it like that. Well, okay, say ABC Publishing. Me and ABC Publishing are real good friends, right? And they say, well, they call, say, hey, I have a potential client here, and whoever wants to publish their book, but they need a little bit more education wise of what authorship is all about, or they need a little bit more guidance into what they are, what they are walking into. They say they want to be an author and they got a manuscript and things like, and they can still work with that publisher, but I will be teaching them the behind the scenes aspects. All behind the scenes aspects of all the behind the scene aspects of what they need to know about publishing. Okay, so let's go back and let's rewind and let's review. Okay, we want to do, one is understand the value of your content. Create program frameworks. Partner with organizations. Licensing and agreement made simple. And promote collaborative opportunities. Because I love reaching out to different, different publishing companies and authors and things to really try to get, their authors to sign up for the course. That is another way you could do it, where you say, look, I got a course coming out, and I would like for your students, if you have any authors in your roster that need a little bit more education wise with the knowledge of being an author, can you send them to me? Okay, so, or we make an agreement that they will do this with every author that comes to them, and it must be in contract. We always do stuff contract. Do not forget, everything's contract. It ain't no word of mouth. That's another thing that we have learned. If you're going to move up to the next level, people that are serious about their business, they deal with contracts. They do not do word of mouth. Everything is on paper. Everything is signed, dated, and delivered. Okay, because in the world today, we got to be careful. Okay, and you got to get your lawyer to read over your paperwork. Okay. Yes. So licensing and partnerships can transfer your book into programs that reach hundreds or even thousands of people. Don't forget, the Publish Now What free webinar series is coming in September. Okay, September the 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, it is a 4-part series teaching you how to maximize your book's potential, create visibility, and expand beyond the page. Okay, and enrollment for the Publish Now What course is open. So if you would like to enroll, you let me know by clicking the link in the description box. Okay, get the early bird price of $147 until October the 1st. Okay, October the 1st. So they give you a whole month in that free webinar, because it's September the 6th, the 13th, the 20th, and the 27th. They give you a whole month to sit and think, do you really want to get into a class, a course, that goes more deeper, is more structured. It is it is for the price of $147 until October the 1st. And after that, the price goes to $197. It is a 6-week program, walks you step by step in building momentum, creating platforms, and expanding your influence beyond your book. Okay? Book your free one-on-one consultation with me through the Calendly link that I will be placing in the description box for the video of today. Okay, so I want to thank you all, for coming in, and I want to let y'all know that it is so important that we get in this, into today's program. It is Post-Publishing Power Move Day 27 licensing partnership, turning your book into programs. And then we want to go on down here, okay, where you get your free consultation with me, where we could talk about book publishing strategies. We can talk about visibility strategies. We can sit down and go over some things about, any questions you have about publishing. And I wanted to let you know that the Publish Now What free webinar starts September the 6th, 2025, 10 a.m. Here is the link. The Zoom link will be placed in the description box in this video. I also want to let you know, if you want to sit down and talk with me, you can reach out to me through email. You got my email address. Here is my website address. Okay, and I want you to really, really want you to have a successful author career. Okay, a successful author career. All right, and I wanted to say, it is a pleasure of having you here today. Also want to, so sign up. Come on, sign up. Don't be scared. Just the Zoom link. The webinar will be on Zoom. Okay, and it starts at 10 a.m. And I greatly appreciate everyone's participation and signing up. We have quite a few that have signed up for this event, the webinar, and I greatly appreciate everyone coming and supporting Sharice and Johnson Moore LLC, and I thank you so much. All right now, so see you tomorrow for day 28. Day 28. Day 28. Day 28. Day 28 is media and PR opportunities beyond the book. That's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Media and PR opportunities beyond the book. Okay? All right. I love you all. And I pray that you all have a blessed evening. Bye, babies.